Hello, Brian and Linda. How are you? Good to see you again. Hi, Jean. Jean. Hi, Jean. We'll just go ahead and start in just a minute. Hi, Tamara. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Loving Kindness Meditation. It's wonderful to be here with you today. My name is Alex. Hello to everybody online as well, and everybody here. It's wonderful to be here. It's noticeably cooler. I don't know. It was this very strange feeling I had coming in, just kind of driving in today. How much cooler it was. I don't know. It was kind of a strange vibe, but I like it. I like the fall. Okay. Is there anybody here who's a first-time Dharma Temple? Oh, nice. Well, how did you find out about us? How do you know about us?
I just was Googling temples around me, and I found a few, and this is the first one I came to. So,
Oh, awesome.
And I live close by, so.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. How about you?
I had actually done this meditation online quite a few times, and just thought I would come by and do it first.
Nice. Well, welcome. It's wonderful to have you both. Thank you. So, this is the Loving Kindness class. We've been doing this for quite a while now. I know that for our new people, we're going to do this short introduction. We're going to have our loving kindness meditation, which I'm going to guide. And then afterwards, question and answer. Sometimes I have something to say, sometimes not. And I'm just really interested to know what your experience is. And if you have any questions about the meditation or the instructions or Buddhism in general, I know I had a lot of questions, but I got a good education my first few months of coming to the temple. It was really kind of fun. So what did I want to say? I think what I did on Sunday was, there is the Dharma Bum Temple or DBT, Delta Beta Ta fraternity over at SDSU. And it's been going on for several years now. And it's a co-ed fraternity. And every year, pretty much, they invite me in and they ask me to tell the Buddha's enlightenment story. From when he was born to when he became an enlightened being, right? When he became the Buddha, not just Siddhartha. And so I came in and I told the story. It had been a while since I told the story. And, I even forgot a section of it. And I kind of told it after the end. But just one little part. That was actually kind of important. But, and I thought, I need to tell this story some more. So, plus, one of the things that I used to do here was just tell stories. It used to be like Sunday time, story time, and I used to tell stories. And because in the Buddha's life, he had an interesting story, and many people around him, a lot of his main disciples and other people, during that time who were in relation with the Buddha in some way, Hal had really, really interesting stories. Everyone from his stepmother, Mahapajapati, who was the very first nun. She has an interesting story. His two main disciples, Sariputra and Moggallana, they had a really interesting story. And really, really briefly, it was kind of funny that in their story, in the story of the Buddha's two main disciples, or before they actually even met the Buddha, they had another teacher. His name was Sanjaya, and he didn't seem to know a whole lot. But again, in India at the time, you couldn't, shake a stick without hitting 20 gurus in the forest, because India was going through just this incredible, spiritual renaissance, because the Vedic religion at the time was somewhat corrupted. A lot of the Brahmin priests would make people spend exorbitant amounts of money and animals and sacrifices, and sometimes human sacrifices, just for certain ceremonies or rituals, to bring good luck or whatever to them, or what was going on with them. And so this anybody could say anything, and they were a guru. And so Sanjaya, he was, they left him, and then they found the Buddha. But I was reading another story of the Buddha in the sutras a couple nights ago, and it was about this man asking what the fruits of the holy life were. So what are the fruits of becoming a monk? You become a monk, you enter from home life into homelessness, and you just meditate and search for enlightenment. And this guy was asking the Buddha what the benefits are of that, and the Buddha goes, "Well, have you asked other people what the benefits are?" And he goes, "Yeah, so I asked this guy and he said this. I asked this guy, he said this. I asked this guy, he said this. And I asked this guy, Sanjaya, and he said this, and he was just the stupidest one of all." and I don't know actually if it was the same Sanjaya, but I'm pretty sure it was. And I just got a big chuckle out of that. because they can be pretty blunt in the sutras in just saying, yeah, he was really stupid, you know. So anyway, I thought it was kind of funny. But part of, I think, what I want to do is just start telling the stories every so often. Has anyone heard me tell that story?
No.
Oh my God. Oof. All right. Good. So next week, we'll do it. All right. Because it takes about 45 minutes, so it takes a while. So it has to be a short, really short meditation, and then I can tell the story, so I don't keep you too long. All right, so let's go ahead and. Oh, Tamara says yay for stories. I do like it. They have a lot of these wonderful characters. You know, one of the most interesting stories is Devadatta, and you know, you would think that the Buddha, being the Buddha, that everybody loved him and that he was universally beloved, but he wasn't. His cousin, Devadatta, hated him, just could not stand him, so jealous, and tried like his entire life to take the Sangha away from him, to turn people against him, tried to kill him. It was just wild. He just couldn't see past his own delusion. There is Angulimala, who was the murderer saint. He murdered hundreds of people for some really stupid reason. And he was kind of turned around by the redemptive power of the Dharma, you know, in meeting the Buddha. You know, like again, the story of Sariputra and Moggallana, who actually have separate stories. They have this part of their story which they were together because they were friends. You know, they were really, really young. They were like in their probably late teens, around when the Buddha became enlightened, and they decided to seek enlightenment on their own, not knowing who this Buddha guy was. And so they had their own little adventure in meeting the Buddha. And then afterwards, their stories just kind of split apart because they had different duties. You know, the Buddha couldn't train everybody. And so Sariputra and Moggallana would split the duties. And they were really, really, it's very, very interesting folks, really good stories. And he had other main disciples like Mahakassapa, Mahakachara, who had their own things going on Aruda, and a lot of these people who were actually kind of related to the Buddha in some way. He got a lot of his family to come join him when he became enlightened and became a monk and started the Sangha. Like I said, his stepmother, the only mother he ever knew, became the very first nun, which was kind of revolutionary for the time because by and large, women weren't allowed to do spiritual practice at the time. You know, it was a very patriarchal society. So it's going to be, and the story, of course, his attendant, Ananda. Poor Ananda. Not poor Ananda. I love Ananda. But his is actually a beautiful story, and I love telling it. Yeah, so anyway, I want to think about that. So I think next week, Buddha story time. And I don't know if anyone else online, have you heard me tell this story? I think you have. I'm not sure. All right. Any questions before we start our meditation? All right, let's go do this, guys. So just close your eyes, relax, making sure you have that nice seated position that's nice and comfortable for you, nice and sustainable, so you're not likely to move around too much. And when we sit like a Buddha. And you can even imagine yourselves as a Buddha sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment. Because historically, each Buddha has their own tree. So just let my words just kind of wash over you as I give you the instructions a little bit later. Don't hold on to them too tightly. Just kind of listen and just kind of follow along. But first, as we get connected to the breath, let's just take a deep breath all the way in. And all the way out. At first, not forcing the breath, letting the breath be quite easy and quite natural. And only after a few breaths can you then find out and experiment what kind of breath is going to work for you, what kind of breath is going to keep you alert, keep your body refreshed. It's always okay to experiment with the breath, maybe taking a longer inhale or a longer exhale. So just for the next few moments, just rest as gently as you can in the sensations of the breath. And so during this meditation, you always want to keep about 25% of your attention on the breath to keep you grounded, to keep you anchored to the present moment. The breath is our home and our anchor, that place we can always come back to when things get just a little bit too much. Or we get distracted. So to begin our practice of loving kindness, we're first going to think of a benefactor. And a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness. Someone it's really easy to have these feelings for. These feelings just come naturally. Mother, father, brother, sister, best friend, favorite teacher. Or if you can't think of a person, just think of an act. that someone did to you, for you. So the only thing that we're going to do is just radiate loving kindness to this person or these people. It could be more than one. They could be living, they could be not living, doesn't matter. And however you understand that word radiate, just radiate loving kindness to them. Wishing them happiness, wishing that they do the things that cause happiness, which is their positive thoughts, words, and actions. I like to imagine a beam of loving kindness going from my heart to theirs. And sometimes it's radiating or pulsing, and it's warm. It's different colors. But however you want to do it is fine. Just radiate loving kindness to this benefactor. And if you want, you can add, may you be happy. Just that simple phrase. And of course, it always helps to smile when you do any meditation. It creates a positive mind state. It's kind of what we're trying to do. So for the next few moments, we'll do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. And now shifting our focus just a little bit from doing this practice for a benefactor to now we're going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And we can think of our benefactor and you're going to imagine your benefactor radiating loving kindness to you. And the only thing that you have to do is just receive as much of their loving kindness as possible. You've already experienced their loving kindness, which is why they're a benefactor. So can you then imagine your benefactor smiling at you, radiating loving kindness to you, and just receive. If there's any resistance in your heart, that's okay. Just notice it. Can you breathe into it? Maybe softening it, maybe giving it, just giving it some space. And of course, smiling always helps. So for the next few moments, we'll imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. Shifting our focus again to now, can we do this practice for ourselves? And you can either just radiate loving kindness back to yourself. Maybe I'm just imagining getting your heart getting bigger and warmer as you do so. Or you can even repeat phrases to yourself. Phrases like, may I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. You can say either one or all of them. You can devise a phrase of your own concoction, so long as it has a loving and a kind intention behind it. And just when you do so, just call to mind your own wish to be happy. It's the same wish that everybody else has for themselves. You can even still put your hand over your heart, listening for any resistance. And of course, smiling, because that always helps. And so we'll do loving kindness for ourselves for the next few moments. And finally, we can explore the limitless quality of the heart by doing this practice for all beings in all directions, whatever living beings there may be. The great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded. And the heart has this potential. Every heart has this potential. So just go as far out as you can go. And do this practice for all beings. And we'll do that to end the final part of this practice. Just open your eyes when you're ready. And let's just take the next moment or two out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs. Making sure you have that mindfulness of loving kindness about you still. The next minute or so, if you have a question or if you want to relay your experience of meditation, I'm going to ask you about that. Love to hear your input. So we'll start just in a minute here. Okay. So that was still good for me. But it doesn't have to be good for you. I just enjoy doing this kind of meditation. So anyone want to relay their experience of meditation? What was that like for you? Was there any part that was easier or harder or new or unfamiliar or anything like that?
I'm not sure why maybe practice makes perfect, but today, especially when you mentioned under your own baobab or whatever tree, felt, saw, and felt a part of this like swirling of tree around me. I thought about it before, but not really felt so much this time. And in particular, if you say you're your own personal tree, I've been to this part of California where the ancient bristlecone pine trees grow, and they're like 57, 100 years old.
Yeah, they're super old. Yeah.
And in particular, I've been under one there, and I was there tonight.
And it's so important to personalize your practice, I feel, and just kind of to make it your own. Not that you're doing your own homemade dharma or anything like that, but just to, because some people do, just kind of go off the rails there. But I'm just talking about just kind of make it comfortable for you, make it meaningful for you. A lot of times it's like if you have your own home practice, to set up your altar and just make it awesome. Sometimes, a lot of times, especially in the school that I was educated in, which is the Theravada school, and a lot of Westerners want to strip everything out, all of the religiously sounding or seeming parts out of Buddhism, and just be very sparse and have a Buddha baby statue, and that's it, and nothing around it. And that's not even the way Theravada is. If you go to Thailand, if you go to Burma, if you go to Sri Lanka, all in Tibet and Japan and China and all of these Buddhist countries, and you look at all of their temples, they are decked out. They are decked out with stuff and statues and Buddhas everywhere, and they just make it so beautiful. For some reason, we just kind of want to strip that away here in the West, and I think that's really a shame. I think that you're really losing a lot of richness with that, and so part of making your practice your own is just making it meaningful, and for a long time, that's all I had was just, one little Buddha thing, and everything else was bare, And now I don't like that. Add some more stuff. I have plenty of Buddha statues at home, you know. And I have like a Hanuman, and I have which is from the Hindu pantheon, but still it's fine. Because they're all meaningful. And so part of that is being able to imagine yourself as a Buddha, and a lot of times that could just help you connect yourself to the rest of the world. Connect yourself, ground yourself, and just feel that kind of connection with the rest of the world.
Those you've been there, you've seen them?
I've seen the trees.
That swirling branches was like zooming out of me around to everybody, everything, all everywhere. It's very, very different. And one way.
So as much as you can, make your practice fun. We don't often hear that. We tend to be so serious about everything. I keep on saying that one quality you can bring with you to spiritual practice is your sense of humor, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it a lot. So bring it with you and bring the sense of fun and the sense of adventure. I love that. I love that about Buddhism. It's so interesting to me. Anyone else? Nope. It's okay. You don't have to.
What I'm finding is it's really extraordinary. I had this imagination. I dissociate all this stuff. But this practice helps me focus that energy. And as my benefactor and I had a really good session tonight.
Nice.
And then as I punched that meta out, it radiated as a shockwave, and I found my hand over someone's heart. It was a really beautiful experience in my imagination. He woke up, he's 2 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
He woke up and gasped. And I'm like, I'm here. And that wasn't planned.
That is awesome. So you just kind of imagine yourself with your hand over his heart.
The way my benefactor had his hand over mine.
Right. That's awesome.
So something's happening.
Something's happening, yeah.
That was good tonight. What's going on?
That's good. It's strange. It's only been a week since last time, but I don't know why it seems a lot different today. I don't know. It's not good or bad. It's just different. Let me read this from the online here. It's from Wes. Any advice on having compassion on anybody going through addiction, myself included, knowing at times they just cannot stop? Oh my gosh. As someone who's been in recovery for a few years, I know that suffering. Wes, I know that suffering. I know it. I know it, and it's hard, and it seems like you can't get out of it because it's just this constant cycle of needing more and more and just getting less and less out of it. Like the more and more I drank, the less and less enjoyable my drunkenness was, or my high was, until at the end where I just was getting sick. I was just throwing up. And I probably was in the beginning of like liver damage or something. I don't know. And that just woke me up. And I have a lot of compassion for that. You know, I remember that in me, and I remember how miserable I felt. And I think if it's somebody else, let me see what your question was. If you're the one going through addiction, help is available. Help is available. It's available everywhere. And these people have compassion for you. I have compassion for you. Everybody you will meet probably has compassion for you. They don't want to engage in a lot of these addictive behaviors that a lot of addicts kind of do. But everyone who you meet, if you reach out for help, will have compassion for you. If it's somebody else that is going through addiction, you have to be really, really careful, I think, because you can't get them sober. You can't get them clean. They have to want to do it. You can be there as a friend to a certain degree. Just don't enable their addiction, which is really, really hard to have compassion for someone going through addiction and not just kind of enable them. I'm just kind of trying to look back at my own story. It's been so long, and now it's all coming rushing back. I remember for me, it was just, I stopped digging when I put the shovel down, as they say in the rooms of recovery. It just got so bad. It got so bad that I just had, my only option was to stop. Because when I got sober, I had $20 in my bank account and $40,000 in credit card bills. Somehow I had a job, but no friends. I was completely alienated. And the moment that I stopped digging and I went to, I got kicked out of a bar on noon on Sunday. At least I think I did. I was in a blackout. But I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the evening, and I knew right then when I woke up that I had to stop. And the next day I just went to a meeting. And I was really lucky. My friend had gotten sober 3 months prior. I called him, I went to a meeting, and then I went to his house right after, and his sponsor was there, and he gave me a big book, and I said, I'll be your sponsor. And so I was given that gift my very first day of sobriety. I was given a sponsor. I was given a safe place to go to. I will never forget that. I hope that helped us. I was probably rambling a little bit. I haven't told my story in years. That's very strange. Okay. That's only part of it, but still. Yeah, go ahead.
That dovetails like exactly into a situation I've got. My husband who wants to get a divorce, and we've been clean sober since May. I knew something was weird this weekend, and apparently when I say relapse, I don't necessarily mean became a craving. Well, I don't know, because he has, I figured it out on my own. his sister said, oh, I didn't want to say anything, but since you figured it out, yes. And he's miserable. And she said something to me about, I don't know if I should say anything to him, but I want to let him know that I do have love and compassion and care for him. And that the current situation that we're in has fostered this. So something's got to change. And she said, well, I don't know if we should say anything. You have expectations, and the Buddha and Bill W. says, expectations are resentment. And it's like, at some point, don't you have to be a little proactive to straighten things out when they're a mess in your own life, not in someone else's?
Right. You keep your side of the street clean, right? As they say. Yes. Absolutely. I mean, you have do you live together?
It's weird. We have two houses on one property, and he's in the granny flat, and I'm in the main house.
Mhm.
So he's pretending like I don't exist, and I know that he's miserable.
Mhm.
I saw him tonight. It's like, not from the drugs, just like the sense of remorse, guilt, and all that stuff. And I just want to let him know that I care, that I have kindness and loving for him. And she said, oh, and I said, look, the only expectation I have is to get that off my chest, to say it. Because we hardly talk at all.
If it's safe to say it, then say it.
Okay, good.
If it's not safe to say it, don't say it.
Gotcha. Well, it's like the making amends when it's not gonna
Right.
make more harm.
Exactly.
I get it. Thank you for clarifying.
It has to be safe for you to do it. You're new in sobriety as well, so. Yeah, I learned a lot of that. Boundaries and all that kind of stuff, and that took a while. But that's okay. And that must be a difficult situation for you as well. I know you've talked about it before, of course. And a lot of times for people who relapse, there's a deep sense of shame
Oh, it's like
before relapsing. And I get it, but for many people, relapse is just part of recovery.
Well,
It doesn't have to be, but a lot of times it just is, and that's okay. As long as they know that and they can just say, oh, we're doing this again. That's when they really need compassion. Okay. Sorry, I need to read this. Also, may we dedicate this meditation to my dog, who is currently hurt sitting right beside me when we join palms. Of course. Your dog who's Soap? Who is Soap? Is your dog named Soap? I got like a 20-second delay here, so I don't really know. So we will dedicate this to Wes's dog so that he may be better. Thank you guys for coming. Let's join our palms at our hearts, please. Oh, Soap is his name. May the benefits of this meditation, this discussion be received by all beings in all directions. May we dedicate a special merit to Wes's dog, Soap, may he get better. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are. Thank you for coming. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Buddha story next week. Woo-hoo.
I want to come to the class or whatever it is on Thursday night.
Uh-huh.
Can you describe it or tell me about it?
Oh, yeah. So it's Travis, and he just goes over a lot of the Dharma, a lot of the sutras. very specific teacher, like this says this and this means this, and so yeah, it's a really good class. You should come.
Because I saw the whiteboard in the little room, and
Mhm.
the whole thing on codependence. And that's something that I know is involved, but I don't understand it enough to say, aha.
Oh, that's codependent origination. Yeah.
Is that something I can like Google or whatever?
Yeah, you can.
Origination?
Yeah, dependent origination. You can Google.
It's all mysterious to me.
It describes the process of suffering. It's really fascinating.
Because, you know, I had a conversation with myself quite a few months ago when all this first started going down, and it was really hard for me to understand how a couple that so seemingly at times is very kind of yin and yang, you know, and how is that codependent? You know, when you're a good fit,